Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, January 23. Government is proposing to spend an additional $7.9 billion for the 2019-2020 fiscal year, increasing the current budget from $851 billion to $859 billion. The increase has been added to the recurrent or housekeeping expenses, moving it from $778.9 billion to $786.9 billion. In terms of capital spending, this remains the same at $72.11 billion. The adjustment to the budget is in the second supplementary estimates, which was tabled in the House on Tuesday by Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark. Of the increases, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation has received an additional $1.5 billion, and the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information is getting $1.6 billion more. Members of the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee are to deliberate on the second supplementary estimates on January 28. It will then be debated in the House later in the afternoon. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has reaffirmed Jamaica's commitment to a unified Caribbean community, CARICOM.
Jamaica does not want to see and does not engage in any policy that would divide CARICOM. CARICOM is an important fraternity of countries. We are a trading bloc. We are a custom union. But more than that, it is the fraternity. And we want to keep it that way.
The Prime Minister was responding to questions at a joint press conference on Wednesday, following bilateral discussions with United States Secretary of State Michael Pompeo. Mr. Holness emphasized that the focus had to be about ensuring greater engagement among CARICOM countries and the region's international partners.
And my interest is to get Jamaica talking with everyone and to strengthening our relationship, particularly with our largest trading partner, particularly with our largest security partner, particularly because we have over 1 million US visitors visiting our shores yearly. We have significant economic, social, and cultural interests, so we should never seek to create an artificial divide.
For his part, Secretary Pompeo concurred that there was no intent from the United States to divide CARICOM. He said the U.S. welcomed a dialogue on important issues with every country in the region.
We want all the countries of this region to prosper and be successful. And we want to work with them closely to develop out a security prosperity dialogue with them so that we can all be successful, not divided, but together.
Meanwhile, the U.S. Secretary of State has listed cybersecurity as one of the areas on which the North American country will be partnering with Jamaica and other Caribbean islands. Mr. Pompeo says this is part of the Caribbean 2020 strategy that was launched in 2017.
Our nations have an obligation, therefore, for our very people to work in the interest of our shared security much more closely. That's what we're already doing in the Caribbean Basin Security Initiative.
The Secretary of State was speaking at yesterday's policy event following a meeting with Caribbean leaders. He said the U.S. was looking to partner with Haiti to help solve critical development challenges through its development finance cooperation.
I believe that the United States and Caribbean nations do much more together, can do much more together, and importantly, should do much more together. As the Prime Minister knows, we're natural allies and natural partners. Now is the time to move forward with even closer ties. There's so much opportunity.
Secretary Pompeo left the island on Wednesday after a 2-day working visit. The Victoria Jubilee Hospital has received a donation of medical equipment and supplies valued at $20,000 to improve its neonatal services. The donation was provided by United States-based charity, the Jamaica United Relief Association, or JURA. Among the items are ventilators, deep vein thrombosis pumps, pneumatic cuffs, eye sheets, stirrups, and laryngoscopes. Chairman of the Kingston Public and Victoria Jubilee Hospital's Management Committee, Dr. Stephanie Reed, welcomed the much-needed supplies.
No amount of money that government provide for our hospital will be sufficient to make our hospital work effectively. We depend heavily on our community, the partners in the community, like yourselves, people who really have an interest to see healthcare as it ought to be in our country, Jamaica.
You have my commitment that as long as I am around, I will continue to make sure the organization provides support to the Victoria Jubilee.
The Victoria Jubilee Hospital provides critical health care to women and babies, and the ventilators will supply additional oxygen support for neonates, especially those born prematurely or underweight. Still on health, the Western Regional Health Authority is imploring citizens in that section of the island to take part in the National Dengue Cleanup Drive scheduled for January 24 to 26. The call comes from Regional Vector Control Officer Ryan Morris.
Want everybody to come on board. It's an opportunity to clean your place up, to get rid of breeding and potential breeding site. It's an opportunity to interact with the team. It's an opportunity to let us know what is happening so we can know how to come in.
The Western Regional Health Authority manages healthcare in St. James, Westmoreland, Hanover, and Trelawney. According to Mr. Morris, under the Enhanced Vector Control Program between July and December last year, this region experienced a steady reduction in the Aedes index. The lowering of the Aedes index means that the number of breeding sites found in relation to the number of premises inspected has declined.
At the end of December, we see a massive gain of 6.5, with almost all the parishes falling below 10. In the indices that they have never seen before.
Local authorities, members of parliament, councillors and volunteers are on board to support this weekend's national cleanup activities in 158 communities across the country. These areas have been identified by the Health Ministry as being in need of urgent action to destroy mosquitoes and their breeding sites. And finally, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says government has reintroduced the Longman Program to maintain and preserve the island's road infrastructure. A colonial initiative, the Longman Program saw locals being given sections of community roads to debush, sanitize, and clear drains. In addition to the road maintenance aspect of their work, Mr. Holness says the Longmen will be given a smart device to collect data, which will be used to preserve the built and natural environment.
That will give us a pool of data from which we can do our data mining and analytics to help us to drive our budget, to direct which roads really need to be repaired, which drains and gullies really need attention. And that is a smarter way of addressing the resilience of your built and natural environment.
Mr. Holness was speaking at the 4th Annual Caribbean Infrastructure Forum. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.